Hey guys, it's Eddie, and I'm back for my second devlog video where I'll be explaining the progress I made during my third and fourth weeks of development of Project SplitCell. But there hasn't been a lot of progress in the obvious sense, since as you can see, my character movement and design hasn't changed at all during my first and second weeks of development, and my UI has only been changed slightly, and I'll explain what the new elements on screen mean. First, I want to say I scrapped the whole grappling system in favor of a puzzle-based system where you solve a puzzle and move on to the next stage, which is why I have the word key after the item I've got equipped, and I can switch between grab and key. Well, I can only go to grab when I'm on the arms, because I can use the arms to grab a trigger and move it to where I need to be, and then I can switch back to key to use the arm as a key to, solve the puzzle and move on to the next stage. To show an example of this, I'm going to go in grab mode and use my arm to grab this trigger, move it, and I can move it around, take it with me. I can release it and drop it to the ground, and I can release it on a trigger holder. When you put a trigger on a trigger holder and you insert the correct key, then the trigger is activated, and when a trigger is activated, the component it's linked to activate. So as you can see, this particular trigger is in the shape of it's got a recess in it in the shape of a square cross section. And the only component of my body that's got a square cross section is my arm, which I can then shoot into that hole to trigger this door to open. The door being this slab over here. It's not just one slab, it's two slabs right next to each other. So if I was to, insert this arm into that hole I was just next to, then this door will open up and I'll be able to move on to the next stage. So this is the system I'm going for rather than, grappling and climbing and 3D movement in terms of vertical movement. Just as I had shown in my first devlog, when an item is shot off, it will return to the component which is directly above it in the hierarchy. So if I was to shoot off my upper body and then switch my right arm, which is currently in the trigger, to grab mode, it will stop acting as a key and instead grab the trigger. And then the arm will fly back to the upper body, and the upper body will, keeping its height above the door, will make its way back to the lower body. Which means, say if there's an obstacle past the door which requires me to use this same trigger, which I'd used to open the previous door, I can bring it over, whether it means timing it right and having the trigger come through the gap in the door right before it closes, or if, there's space above the door as I'd shown right now, I can use the method I'd used. Sticking on the topic of triggers, if I was to just switch back to my editor, you'll see on screen in the world viewport, I've got, other triggers in the shape of my upper and lower body on my character, and as you'll see in my details panel, I've got an enum titled the body part enum, and depending on that value will depend on the shape and size of the specific trigger. So the one I've got highlighted is lower body, and like my lower body is an upright triangle. I've got upper body highlighted now, and it's it's an upside down triangle, and that's also represented but in my enum. And then obviously the square cross section one, which I've been showing up until now, has the enum type of arms, which I'll just drop the drop down so you'll see. I've also got one for the core component of the character, the ball that actually rolls on the ground, but I haven't actually made one for it yet because I'm not even sure if I want to trigger for it or how that would work. So for now it just makes the trigger disappear. But yeah, hopefully I get all of that finalized in my third devlog video, which will be out in 2 weeks from whenever this video is released. And yeah, I just hope that works. That's the end of this devlog video. I hope you enjoyed it, and consider subscribing and liking the video if you did enjoy it and you want to tune in again 2 weeks from now when I release my third devlog video detailing my 5th and 6th week of development. Also remember that all my devlog videos are 8 weeks behind my current development. So on a weekly basis, I'll release a clip showing what my current development looks like in the game so that you know what you have to look forward to in future devlogs. So yeah, goodbye. Hope you enjoyed yourself.